Have you ever sent a simple message and then immediately regretted it? Maybe you typed something like, "Okay, see you later," hit send, and then your brain suddenly turned into a detective. Wait, did that sound rude? Should I have added an emoji? Did they think I was annoyed? Why haven't they replied yet? 5 minutes later, you're replaying the conversation in your mind like a movie scene, analyzing every word, every pause, every tiny detail. Meanwhile, the other person probably read the message, shrugged, and went on with their day. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Some people can move through life's small situations like they're stepping over puddles after rain, quick, effortless, barely noticing them. But for others, those same puddles feel like deep lakes that require analysis, caution, and sometimes a full emotional investigation. This is the psychology of overthinking simple situations. And interestingly, the people who do this aren't necessarily anxious, insecure, or too sensitive the way society sometimes suggests. In many cases, their brains are simply wired to process more information than the average person does. Let's slow this down for a moment and imagine a typical situation. You walk into a room and greet someone with a simple, "Hi." They respond, but their tone sounds a little flat. Nothing dramatic, just slightly different. Most people barely notice it. Their brain filters it out automatically. But if you're someone who tends to overthink simple situations, your brain doesn't filter it out. Instead, it zooms in like a microscope. Your mind begins asking questions. Did I do something wrong earlier? Are they upset with me? Was my greeting awkward? Did they mean something by that tone? And suddenly, a 2-second interaction becomes a 10-minute mental replay. Now here's where psychology offers a fascinating insight. Your brain is constantly trying to predict the social world around you. Human beings evolved in small tribes where understanding other people's intentions was critical for survival. If someone was angry, hostile, or deceptive, noticing it early could literally save your life. So your brain developed systems that scan for social signals, tone of voice, facial expressions, eye contact, subtle emotional shifts. For some people, those systems operate quietly in the background. For others, those systems operate like a high-powered radar. If you're someone who overthinks simple situations, it's often because your brain's social radar is extremely sensitive. You notice patterns, you notice inconsistencies, you notice when someone's smile looks forced or when their energy feels slightly different. And once your brain detects something unusual, it doesn't just ignore it, it investigates. Imagine your mind as a room full of tiny detectives sitting around a table. The moment something slightly confusing happens, they all start talking at once. Did you notice that pause? Yeah, and their tone changed too. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe we should replay the conversation. So your mind rewinds the memory again and again, searching for clues. At first, this process feels useful. You're trying to understand the situation better. But sometimes the investigation goes on long after the case should have been closed. Psychologists often connect this pattern with something called cognitive rumination. That's a fancy term for the mind repeatedly returning to the same thought, like a scratched record that keeps playing the same few seconds of music. And rumination tends to happen more often in people who are highly introspective. These are the people who naturally examine their own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in great detail. On one level, that's a powerful skill. It helps you learn from mistakes. It helps you understand other people. It can even improve empathy and emotional intelligence. But when introspection turns inward too intensely, it can create a kind of mental magnifying glass. Small situations suddenly appear bigger than they really are. Let's take another everyday example. You send someone a message and they don't reply for several hours. Your brain instantly fills the silence with possibilities. Maybe they're annoyed with me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they're ignoring me on purpose. But here's the interesting part. Studies in social psychology show that humans are incredibly good at imagining